Morning, everyone. We'll start with the pledge. Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God, we thank you for the opportunity to come together to do the business of the county. Again, we ask that you would guide our commissioners as they make decisions that impact all of us in the county. We ask you to watch over our employees, protect them as they serve people. Pray in Jesus' name.
I've read the minutes. I make a motion to approve the minutes from last week's meeting as written.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion, we pay the bills in the amount of $186,338.45. That's my motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sheriff's report.
Sheriff's report, the total prisoners for last week was 44, 9 releases. Total prisoners in 44, total farmed out 0, farmed in 20, 911 calls 112, jail contacts 4,115, total calls for service 434, civil service papers served 14, VIN inspections 1, new cases open 20, cases closed 9, vehicle crashes 6, SRO activity 74, bailiff contacts 58, livestock out 11.
I think that's all I've got at the moment. Just to let you know, we did end up with a tie on one race. So we'll have to break a tie today, but the notice I sent to the parties that were tied said we'd do it after 9:30. So anytime after that, we're good.
Okay. AMR?
Good morning, Galen Anderson with AMR. Hope everybody had a good long holiday weekend. On the ambulance side, it's been a little bit slow the last 7 days. We only had 5 transports, probably just slow with the holidays and cold weather. People, a little more wanting to stay put. And so far for the month of November, we're sitting at 49 transports. So been a little bit slower month overall. Other than that, just continue our efforts to recruit, fill open positions, and don't have much else to report.
Okay. You guys have anything?
Yeah.
Thank you, Galen.
Have a good week.
You too. Randy?
Good morning, Commissioners. Give you the weekly report. And we had 7 incidents over the last 7 days. Brings our yearly total up to 514. We did have 1 structure fire this weekend. I'd also like permission to hire Charles Stokes as probationary firefighter for Station 960, which is Prescott. That brings them up to 7 out of 15 open slots. So, and that's pending all his pre-employment physical and drug screen.
Charles Stokes?
Charles Stokes.
I'll make a motion. We hire him on a probationary period.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. You want to come ahead, Chris?
Good morning, Commissioners. Chris Martin, Linn County IT Director. Just wanted to bring you up on a couple things. One, all of the switches and cameras have finally shipped for the Justice Center, so they will all be here this week, and we'll be working here the next couple weeks to get that project completely done. We've been waiting since June of last year for this, so they did finally get all that stuff in stock, and it's been shipped. Our 911 circuit issue still an issue. The sheriff is very much involved with trying to light a fire. It's become a big issue for us, not only moving out of the other facility, we just can't get them to put wire in the building. We don't know what's taking so long. It is becoming very frustrating. It used to be CenturyLink, they were Lumen, now they're Brightspeed, and they were supposed to have everything installed by the 30th. We got an email this morning, they will not.
Is that under contract with Goldberg, or how's that?
No, that's all just the service with the phone company, the local phone provider. And they're our only option to get the circuits for the 911, but without them, we obviously can't operate 911. So, I've seen some emails back from the sheriff this morning, and he's definitely in their business, trying to make things happen, but I don't know how to get them to do what they've promised to do.
Any suggestions?
It's one of those deals where they're the only option, and we don't have.
Do they have a date for us or nothing?
Like I say, that the original date was they would have it done by the 30th, and now they won't. To the point that there's a little bit of digging involved. They haven't even called in a locate, and we know how long it takes, a few days for that to become effective. We called a locate last week just to try to head that off, but we're pretty sure they're not going to accept our locate request because we're not the digger. But we at least know there's no wire in place, but they're dropping balls left and right, and we're talking 6 wires. There's a handhole outside. Conduit's already in the building. They just need to pull wire into it, and this is not as complicated as they're making it. But we've had meetings every week on Tuesdays with them, and they just tell us the same thing. They act like it's a big positive. Last week, hey, it got out of engineering. Well, should have been out of engineering weeks ago. But I'm just letting you know that's where we're at.
All right.
So I don't know what else we can do, unless there's some sort of contact that we're unaware of that can help. The last thing I have, this came up Friday. I'm just making you aware. We're going to be talking with River City. The sheriff is involved as well because it's the generators at the Justice Center. Generators are working fine. Power went out Friday, was out for several hours, and the generators kicked on. They were working good. However, we found that the design of what panels were connected to the generators, the entire boiler room is not connected to the generators.
Okay.
And those boilers are obviously the hot water for the building, but also the hot water for the heat in the building. So there was no heat. Now, it wasn't super cold outside, but we're going to have that area powered up. Yeah, they're gas powered, but it takes electricity to keep everything on. And even battery backups just aren't long enough to do that. The building management system went off because it's in the same area. So we're talking to River City and the electrician. The electrician I'll tell you, I talked to him this morning. He has a very quick fix for the immediate need of the boiler rooms. The second area that the sheriff and I had discussed Friday that was pretty important was the kitchen. Of course, the freezers in there, if they leave the door shut, well, they figure they can last about 72 hours. But if it was a more extended power outage, I don't know what we would do with the meat and stuff that they have in there. And also they can't cook because it's gas grills, but they're electric ignite. So we just don't have electricity to fire them up. And they, again, the electrician looked at the drawings this morning, and he has a good fix to do that, but it involves pulling some wire from a transfer switch on the generators to a panel. They're right in the same room, but they'd have to see what that takes to do.
But your first stop should be River City, yeah.
The first option would be a very quick. If for some reason that second option was going to take a while, he can do the first option and have the boilers at least. But we need to make sure that the heating and cooling for the jail and the rest of the building is working, as well as the kitchen.
Was there not any, on the original plans, was it not stated to do that? have it connected like that?
You know, no, apparently not, according to the original design. Now, you know, and I'm not trying to rehash the old stuff. We had some electrical engineer issues previously that have been dealt with. So I don't know how that whole room, we've had power outages before, but it wasn't cold. So it wasn't a heat issue at all in the building.
Must be a design issue. then,
That's-
right?
Well, it sounds to me like it's a design flaw, but
Yeah.
but River City will look at it and discuss it with Goldberg's and
Yeah.
get back with some excuse. I mean, with
But I just wanted you guys to know that came up Friday. This is kind of
Okay.
discussions.
That's good, though. We're getting it ironed out.
Yeah.
All the little problems.
That's all I had.
All right.
Thanks, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Gary, where are we at on the jail over there on the pipe or the
Well-
gas line? And
I don't think they've done anything on the gap.
No, because we've got to get the dispatchers out
Right.
of there before we can set up a time to get it done, and that's what they're waiting on Brightspeed to get
oh, okay.
this circuit or wiring done so we can move them.
And they want to do it all at once, I think, rather than do a piece of it and then come back later and do another piece.
Jessica?
Good morning, Jessica Hightower, Economic Development. I've got pretty much just what we talked about a little bit last week. I've got the policy for the committees that we've been working with Gary on. I think you should all have a copy of it. Did I give you a copy last week? So basically, we've set 3-year terms that rotate with the committee members.
Did you send it
got-
back out through email, Jessica? You have a copy? I don't have a copy.
I have one copy.
It's not in my thing either. Here, I got one. Oh, look at this. Did you change anything since we talked?
We've got 2 full terms for the term limits. We added the LEPC, the Airport Advisory Committee, and the Child Care Advisory Committee for the exemptions from Section 7 and 8, which is the term limits, and missing 3 meetings, that requirement. But everything else is pretty much the same that we've been talking about.
Which ones were exempt? Child care, what?
Airport and LEPC.
We talked about some boards that you was wanting to change a little bit on.
Yeah, I think item number 7 or 6 or 8 or.
They're
at the end.
listed out in item 12.
Okay.
And then, so item 12 exempts them from the term limits and the missing 3 regular meetings with no notice and then being replaced. So the reason we want to exempt those committees from those 2 sections is because those are very,
Yeah, explain to him, that's what Rick was asking, why.
Why?
because they're very special interest committees. And we're not going to be able to get just anybody on the airport committee or the child care committee. They have to have a passion for that subject to be on that committee. And we already kind of have a hard time getting the people that are on the committee to come without trying to find new members. So that's why we exempted those committees. And then the LEPC, we don't have control over, so.
Yeah.
That
I
was
knew that one. It shouldn't, because there are people that we don't even know about that could be on an airport committee that within the county. So we should always be looking for those people.
Right, and we are.
Okay. I've read over it before, and that's the only change. I don't have a problem with it. I'm glad we finally got it, because it's about time that we update that where somebody doesn't get to stay 30 years on a board.
Sure.
Not that we don't
So-
appreciate them, it's just that
Right.
there's other people out
So
there.
after this is, if you adopt this today, then at our next committee meetings, we'll update our bylaws to reflect these changes.
Sure, go ahead, Mike.
How does
Mike
that
wanted to
work?
ask you a question.
How does that work when are we just gonna start with the people that are there and like, hey, you got a new term starting this date and going on, or how
We're
we?
going to let each of the committees decide who within their group is going to serve 3 years from now and 2 years from now and 1 year from now.
And then rotate them off that way. But they don't get to start their terms over. If they've been on it like 15 years, they don't get to start and do 2-3 year terms.
Okay.
That's not what I want,
Okay.
but I'm not here for much longer, but that's not what I want. Yeah. Mike?
I'm just curious about the missed 3 meetings part of this. Are they consecutive or 3 calendar?
It's 3 in a 12-month period, and it's no notice meeting. So if somebody just doesn't
They just
show
don't
up,
show up.
that's been an issue. I don't in your committee, but I've had an issue in my committee with
As
that.
long as you
So
notify,
as long as they notify the staff member, yes,
that's not a miss.
right.
Okay.
So what do you need from us?
I think we need to accept this policy letter.
If you're going to adopt it, you need to have it on the record that it's been adopted by a vote.
But you went on and said something about next week. What'd you say?
Their meetings next week,
No, at our next committee
Okay,
meetings,
gotcha.
we'll update our bylaws. David, it's policy letter number 2022-02.
And then once it's signed, I'll want to scan it in.
Oh, yep.
I'll make a motion, we adopt those rules as written.
I'll second it. Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
David needs to sign it too. The other thing that I've got today is I have 2 ARPA applications that I handed you last week to look at. I don't know if you want to go ahead and talk about them today. One of them is from the Southeast Kansas Mental Health Center, and they submitted it back in June, and we never made a decision on it. And then the second one is from the City of Lacey, and Jody is here to answer any questions you may have about their application. It's for updates to their water treatment plant.
Did anybody ask questions last week about the Southeast? How many counties
I have
they've
a-
been asking for money?
I have a little more information. They've
Okay.
asked all their counties for funding. They've implemented some new programming, like computer programs for their systems. They've hired a new medical provider during the COVID season here, which I think is going to be a permanent employee. Some after hours things. They've also got bringing our county's building up to ADA compliance. So that section is would be 100% funded by us. The others are split between the other counties. And they're asking for $217,500.
On top of the 117 we give them, we
Right.
budget for them each year.
Right.
Well, we have some thoughts for our money that we haven't even,
We've
I don't know why we would,
We've got about 800,000 left to
I know.
allocate.
I know. But
We talked about that last week.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, as far as other thoughts for it right now.
And then the City of Lacey is requesting 130,000.
I'd put them on hold. Jody, would you mind coming up, talking?
I'm Jody Wade, City Clerk for the City of Lacey. And so I submitted in an application request for improvements on our carbon room feeder for the water treatment plant. So over the last at least 7 years, during our 2017 water plant or water improvement project, during that time, we did do a lot of improvements on the distribution system, but on the water plant at that time, we did upgrade the electrical panels. as we're going along with it, we're continued to, we had an analysis done by an engineer company looking at the current functions of the water treatment plant and then also forecasting going forward. We want to be sure that the plant is currently in the conditions, everything maintenance-wise, as everybody knows, pumps, feeders, et cetera, those things have to be updated just to maintain normal operation. And then we're also looking forward as growth continues in the county. You have 2 production facilities in this county, and we're just trying to make sure, that everything moves forward along with the growth that's happening in the county. So we had an analysis done. We want to continue moving forward. We're creating or have created a master improvement plan, capital improvement plan for the plant. And so we're just working through on those various projects. So as we've completed the electrical panels, we've done a little work on pumps, the high service pumps and things. The carbon room feeder, right now, the current feeder that we have, we need to have an improvement on it for the rate in which it needs to feed, which means a new different unit that needs to be put in to help with that. And that new unit would make it obviously safer, better environment for the workers that have to feed and handle that product. And then, of course, it helps with the production in the facilities. So in this project, we had a couple options that we looked at. We've narrowed down that we don't need to, we can work with it in the current building, which we have. We just need to do a few improvements in the room and the area that it's located. And then we need to get the new feeder. So originally, if we were going to do the whole thing, it would have been in the range of like $225,000. But with just doing the remodel work that needs to be done on the room and to put in the new the feeder, it came to approximately $130,000. So we do have reserves, that we have been saving up over the past several years. But obviously, we want to have the ability to keep moving forward on the other projects and things that are on the list. So we're just asking if it would be possible from the county to receive a matching fund. We'll put in the $65,000 if you all would be willing to consider $65,000 to match with it in order to get this project already moving and rolling. And it's something we do need to get taken care of in the plant.
So I'm going to ask you just a couple questions. Did you have ARPA money for the city?
We have received ARPA funds. We had $170,000 that was received as a NEU unit. And so we have put those funds are going towards the new fire station that'll be built in town. So those as well as for that project, we had the ARPA funds as well as we received $100,000 from Foundation. Plus we're putting in a portion, $150,000 out of our reserves for that project. So again, as a city, we have tried to work really hard to build in our reserves. Obviously, one project can fully wipe out your reserve, the cost that projects are these days. So we just try to look for the opportunity to do combinations, putting the funding and things together. The funds that came out with all of the ARPA and the stimulus, they emphasized in the areas of public safety, public facilities for your emergency management. They also emphasized with water and sewer and the broadband, all for our rural communities, because they know the cost of all those kinds of projects are challenging for the small towns to take on. So, but yes, we did receive those, and that's where we did dedicate those funds. At the time that we did the dedication, because you are pressed on those ARPA funds to try to get them locked in and to where you're going to dedicate them, because you have a certain time frame to also get the projects done and completed. So at the time, that's the project that we had selected to put it towards. We weren't at the phase we were yet in the water treatment plant analysis for the master plan. That was completed about midsummer with the engineer company. So now that we know where that one's lined out, like I said, we were just looking for some opportunities that we could get some grant funding or things to help to keep those moving forward. Just as well as we're getting ready to, streets will be the next one like it is for all the cities and counties and stuff. So on that one too, we're looking for some just various different grant opportunities that would help us keep them all moving.
And as we'll jump off that subject just for a second, as you know, that the county's the ones that normally, if you're not going to hire it out, assist with some of those roads like we have in Parker in the past and different places for paving.
Absolutely. And we've
So if
already
you've been in contact with
Yep.
them, please make sure you do that because we only got a certain amount of people.
Right, and all of these things, I mean, we all know the county is just growing. I mean, it's growing in all parts for us, and we have to start looking and focusing going forward to make sure all of our facilities, all of our, companies when it comes to the utilities of any types, and then, growth in all of our emergency and medical areas. We're all going to be faced with trying to find ways, just as you all have worked hard with your jail facilities and getting some of those things increased and developed. The fact that we service water, not just for the city, it's also regional. We service to the rural water districts for supply. We have future potentials here coming forward with City of Linn Valley. So all those things are just expanding, and we're just all trying to find ways to obviously balance that cost out. Like you say, if there's opportunities, we can utilize some of the funding or make it a regional or county thing to assist. It helps spread that cost and things out for everybody and not trying to just impact, a group of 400 or 600 people to take on those costs. So
you're asking for 65,000?
we're just asking for 65,000 to assist with this project.
Okay. I don't have any more questions right now.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I do. When do you need to know?
Like a lot of things.
Today.
Yeah, we'd really like to get the project. I mean, right now they do have to hand feed it at this point. So it's, we're moving along. Obviously, we came up with a system and a way to do the work at this time. But at this point, I mean, we're ready. We had the funds available in our 2022 budget in the reserves. So we're capable to implement it now if we were to receive that matching funds. So
is this like a change order on top of something you guys are already doing? Is this extra?
No. So what we've created, what we're doing with a lot of our projects in our areas is we've created master capital improvement plan.
Okay.
So we've listed out everything by priority. And so we just keep working our way each budget season. We just kind of work our way down those project lists. So the first thing was the electric panels. We wanted to get all those things updated because there's so much new in the technology. So we've accomplished that. In the project that occurred through 2017 to 2019. And then so moving forward, we did a new settling pond. So now we have larger storage, coming off of the river. We just are almost completed with that project. It should finish up in the next month. And so now we're maneuvering a few more on the internal. So we, like I said, worked on some of the piping inside. We'd like to get this accomplished, and then we're, continuing to move forward on some of the items that have been lined out for us in that plan. So it's usually, our plans are about a 3 to 5 year, site for getting accomplished, hopefully.
Will you guys move ahead with this plan whether our involvement or not?
Absolutely, we've got to move forward with it. So we'll just keep continuing either to pursue some other opportunities might come forth on some funding, or again, we'll have to look at the 2023 and see if we want to go ahead and dedicate, full out of our reserves to do it. So.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
we'll consider it and get back with you on it.
Okay, if you have any other questions or need any other information, just feel free to give me a call.
Thank you, Jody.
Thank you.
So the other projects that you all had talked about using ARPA funds for were the walking floor trailer at the landfill, and that one is allowable. And then I think, Danny, last week you were asking about using funds for the park. I've got Taylor looking into that answer. I don't have an answer yet, but she's looking into it.
Have we got anything back on the walking floor trailers at all? You got any input later on?
I don't have anything from the engineers yet.
Okay. But they're looking at it?
Yes.
Do you have any dates set to where they'll give us some feedback?
I can next week find out what our project timelines are.
Okay.
The only other thing I have is to let you know we've got a meeting set December 5th, so next Monday at 3:00 here with the cities to talk about housing. If you're welcome to attend if you'd like to.
Do we need to make a special meeting for that?
If more than one of you will be there, yes, you'll need to.
Do these guys want to go ahead and do that just in case?
You want to go?
You going?
I don't know, but it's for the art What is it for?
This is for the housing champion discussion. We're going to basically try and determine what the city's needs are and how we can help and maybe build some
I think-
programs
I-
through that.
I don't think all of us need to go personally, because I think then we just get in the way and people don't want to say what they want to say.
I understand that, and that's completely up to you all.
I just, no, it doesn't matter.
So we're going to butt out then.
We'll let you guys go and talk it out and you can bring it back to us.
Perfect. It might be a couple of weeks so we can get a game plan before we bring back what we talked about. But
And I'm asking the sheriff a question here on this Southeast Kansas thing. So
Okay.
let us think about that other.
okay,
But it still would be nice to get a mayor's meeting set back up for us, like we
Okay.
had out there at the, whatever it is.
I can try. Like I said last week, they want a topic. So if you have a topic that you would like to talk about,
The county.
they
Who
would
wants a topic?
the city.
Joe, do you want a topic? Yeah, for the city's meeting, mayor's meeting? You know anything
They just want-
Deb Wilson would want?
They would like it to be more of a workshop that we talk about a specific issue that can help affect everybody than just talk about what we're doing.
We'll have Darren give us a workshop on codes and the new,
So they don't like how we just bring everybody in there and figure out what's going on everywhere in the county?
They would like to have something.
that's
to
fine.
talk about.
We'll work it out. We'll get you a date.
Okay.
I'll give you a topic.
Okay, you give me a topic, I can get a date.
Have you heard back from the insurance guy on the cover out there at the airport?
What from the insurance guy?
Or not the insurance guy, I guess.
They're still saying that December 21st, I think it is, would be their completion date, and then they'll ship after that. They're holding to that. I'm getting regular updates now, so.
Airport board, it had a meeting lately?
No, we are waiting to see if we get the grant for the marketing plan and the operations out there, and then we'll meet.
Okay,
I still haven't heard back on that yet.
okay.
So even if we do just do this operational plan, or if we don't do it, can we still do something where if you buy a plot out there or whatever you want to call it, you have to do something with it within 3-5 years, something like that? Can we do something like that?
We can change the
The covenants,
covenants that we,
How many have we sold so far out there?
8.
And nobody's done anything besides one, right?
1. I've had lots of interest, but then the property taxes are kind of cost prohibitive. To build out there, it's in city limits, so they
You're getting
pay
taxed.
Pleasanton and county and school taxes as well. And it's not, it's taxed kind of similar to the industrial park, I think, except they're not getting revenue from their building.
Would Pleasant give them tax incentives through their,
I don't know that they have a program for the airport. I can find out. I don't think they
So
do.
it's annexed into Pleasanton and we're
Yeah.
paying to Pleasanton tax.
That was part of the original grant to build the runway, was that it was a county-city partnership,
so that's the only involvement they have is we do everything else?
pretty much, yes.
Does it have to stay like that? Can we, I mean, if we asked Pleasanton to give that up, would they? I mean, I don't think they would, but is it legal to do something like that?
They're not going to do that.
I doubt they would agree to, but I don't think there's anything that would prohibit us from doing that. The thing is, we continue to get grants from KDOT
Yeah.
on it, and
They have to have Pleasanton.
they're the ones that might have some reservation. They might say, well, this is supposed to be a partnership and we're not going to fund it if it's not. I don't know.
I mean, if people do want to build out there, doesn't Pleasanton have to get them, it's annexed and they have to have them sewer, water, all that stuff, right?
They do holding tanks out there, and I believe it's on rural water.
We have water, we worked out a water system where it's Pleasanton buys the water from rural water and then resells it to them, basically. But so it's hooked up to the rural water line, but Pleasanton is the provider.
So the only way we can get around it is if Pleasanton waived the tax to the,
Either de-annex it or waive their taxes. Yeah.
can you work on that, Danny?
I think we need to work on something out there. I think people just buying up land and holding on to it, and I don't think that's what any of us want to happen out there. I mean, not me anyway. I'd like to see development.
We did have a good meeting a few weeks ago with one of the property owners that bought lots out there. I think he has 3. And he's working on building plans with an engineer that he works with to go ahead and develop. But so I'm hopeful that that will happen.
What else? Anything?
That's all I have for today, unless you have anything else for me.
I don't have anything. You good?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Sean?
Want to break this tie real quick?
I guess we can break the tie. Hold on. We'll break the tie. We'll hold you up just a minute.
Vote you in for something you don't know.
Okay, so for Scott Township Clerk, we had a 3-way tie between Robert Burns, Holly Breedlove, and Jim Hendershot. I sent letters to the 3 of them to let them know that we would break the tie today after 9:30 if they wanted to be here. I don't see any of them here. So all the laws say on that is it will be decided by lot. We have flipped coins before when we had 2. Since we have 3, I printed their names on 3 pieces of paper, all the same size paper, and we just need one of you to draw a name out of this cup, and that person will.
Be the winner? What a way to get elected.
So, Chairman, I'd probably let you do that.
Who's lucky or unlucky?
Robert Burns.
Robert Burns.
He has been the clerk previously. So we'll mark that down in the abstract that he won by drawing. I also have the abstract with the results on it from the election that I need the canvassers to sign off on. So Rick, you were not here for the canvass, but Darren was, so I'll have him sign as one of them. So, let's just pick one of the canvasser ones and sign off on that.
Michael, let's protest this election.
I've already sent certificates and oaths to everyone that got elected, except for this one race, so I'll get that out this afternoon. We'll be pretty much wrapped up with this election. I've still got a post-election report that I've got to send to the state, but they have not sent me the report form yet, so I can't do that one yet. But the rest of our reporting is done.
That's from the sheriff. You can pass it to him too. I asked him about the mental health, if SEK helped our sheriff's department. And they don't.
Already, him and I was talking about it.
$17,000.
This was a text to the sheriff just to ask him if Southeast Kansas assisted in any way with the sheriff's office, and his response was, we pay for CHC for the mental health assistance. So I'm not a big fan of giving them another
Why do
$200,000.
we give them $117,000? I mean, what's worse?
They come in every year for their budget, and
They get a regular budget thing from us because they provide the mental health services that we would otherwise have to provide
it's a
individually.
requirement, right? State
Yeah, we have. And
for
so,
certain people.
so
but-
rather than have our own mental health service that we, with infrastructure.
He said who provides it for us, they do.
CHC.
CHC provides, so we got somebody else providing it and we're paying this company is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, but they're paying for the inmates.
Yeah, he's like in-house, like his health and
Yeah.
mental health and stuff like
Okay.
that through CHC.
So my question was going to be, since we're having such a huge problem with the sheriff's having a lot of difficulty sometimes getting people that are inmates that have mental health issues, get them assigned to Osawatomie or somebody else, the problem there. And I thought maybe this might have been a solution to it, but apparently not. So I don't know why we would give them. Last time they submitted their budget, they said every county, they named off several counties that they got ARPA money from anyway. So I don't know if it's just a money grab or what from them. I know.
I'd be concerned what they would want in the next 3 years. If we give them another 200 and something thousand, is that what their budget's going to move up that much more to
No, I think
what we give
it's
them?
kind of like area on aging over there. They had their money every year. They would come. They didn't even come the last 2 years to ask for money because the ARPA funds and all the other federal funds that came in for them. I mean, they just stockpiled a bunch of money, and they did. And so they're doing well over there on that side. And I don't know if that's what Southeast Kansas is doing as well.
So how do they set the 117,000 and to come to us? Just ask, is that their budget and they split it?
They take their budget and then they divide it, I think, by population, don't they?
Yeah.
I don't remember what their formula is on that.
I don't know. I don't recall. We ask them that every time they come in, but I can't remember.
I know we do.
Wrong number first year.
Once a year, we all forget. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay, Sean.
Sean West, Public Works Administrator. These are October's cost summary by task.
That went down a little bit.
The mail's down.
$200. That's you not getting as much.
Hey, do you have another one of these?
I do not.
Okay.
You need one?
Okay. The next thing I have for you, we'll talk along the buyback program for the graders. But this is the equipment list and odometer readings. You need a copy of this, Steve?
Wouldn't hurt, but I can wait till if you need it for somebody.
Okay.
You want to just make me a copy after a bit?
Just go ahead and give mine to him. I don't need it.
Where it's listed foreman, what does that mean, Sean?
What's that? Clean, 3/4 clean. How do we get clean rock when we don't wash it?
Yeah.
What does it mean under foreman? What exactly goes underneath that?
I'm sorry?
Under foreman? Foreman, the task foreman, you just have it in there as foreman?
Okay, I'd have to refer to Joyce on those as to what gets entered on each line item.
Hey, can you grab her real quick? Sure. I think there's a couple questions.
Come on in, Joyce.
Come on up here. Share the podium.
So the foreman expenses, that's usually how Mike Nation and Harry turn in their time. That's them driving around the county, checking the roads, helping their guys. Al Doan will put in foreman on his as well when he's assisting his people.
And on the clean rock, can you answer that?
That was washed rock last month, I believe. Did they change, somebody change that or?
I'd have to go back and look at the rock tickets. It could have been an error on what we entered. I don't know. I could go back and look.
Well, they just told us that there was not washed rock is what I'm saying. And it was in the last months it had washed rock on there and it's clean now. And that's a question I have, I guess, with the queries.
If you wonder why we're bickering or talking about wash rock is because of we use it in our asphalt and making it for the chip and seal.
I'd have to go back and pull the rock tickets on those.
Okay.
While we're talking about roadways, I just got updated from Mike this morning about the roadway around the levee project south of the industrial park at Lacine. There is rock on the roadway and it's being traveled now. They're finishing up with some more rock and some work on it, but it's basically open to through traffic at this point. The first item I had was the Zener Road Bridge. We discussed last week. This project at 1175 and Zener Road, engineers took a look at the project and the project cost was estimated at, I believe, $638,000 to repair the wing wall damage and to caulk the other 3 wing walls. The partners in this did not feel that that was a good investment to put that type of money into a 1914 bridge. So the feds are looking at grant possibilities currently. And we also discussed last week, and I have maps on that roadway. We also discussed last week the possibility of vacating that roadway and letting the feds, because it's federal ground on both sides.
It goes back to federal ground and that's all it goes to. Maybe you knew that.
And Gary, if we didn't, say we went through with this project or whatever, how it comes out onto Zener Road actually goes across the federal wildlife's land again, I believe, right? I did on Debbie.
You wanna see it?
There on York Lane. We have to go through, I mean, how would we do that? 'Cause I think the road's actually supposed to go straight, instead of curve.
Is this the road here?
Yeah, see how it curves out right here?
I think
That's how it curves now, but it's originally supposed to go back that way.
Yeah, it's laid out this way. Oh, okay, so you're saying that, well, see, if we vacated it, we would just vacate it.
Right, but if we didn't, we would have to go through all that stuff we went with on New York Lane, right?
We
To go
really,
across there.
there really ought to be an easement for you. Yeah. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does it do to their grant opportunity? What did they have to say about it?
That I haven't discussed with them yet. I would only ask that you allow me to enter into discussions with them to see how that would affect grant opportunities and the partnership. Generally, the line of thinking that we're thinking is we would stand a better chance at this point to get a grant for a new bridge rather than to repair one of that age. So the grant money, you'd be looking at well over $1 million to replace that bridge on grant money. So I have not entered into any discussion with them yet about what vacating the road and turning it over to them would do to those grant opportunities by us pulling out. But if you'd like, I'll go ahead and get those answers and bring them back to you.
Just kind of state where I'm at right now. I'd like to vacate the road. I think it's, I think it's federal land on both sides of it. It doesn't really benefit the county much to put tax dollars toward it. That's my opinion.
what's the pros and cons of this vacating here as far as?
Well, I mean, the pro is we won't have to maintain it.
Right.
Yes. On the con side, I don't know that I can think of one really. I mean, we don't even use it for access to anything. They're the only ones that use it.
No other landowners have any tie to anything?
No. I can't think of a negative aspect of it.
And it's not once the government owns the ground, there's nobody else ever gonna own it again because it's gonna stay in the government hands, right?
That's right. I think the one thing that they probably won't be able to get any, the same grants for that bridge that they would get if it's a county road, if it's on their land alone. But they may be okay with that. I think they talked about just doing a crossing there
Yeah.
instead of a bridge.
This is the bridge here.
Did we? Yeah. We did talk about the low water crossing.
Yeah, I thought they talked about that.
Hey, Sean, didn't we talk about low water crossing on this? Did we say that was doable or not doable?
I did discuss that with them. We thought it was a doable during the discussion with the engineer that it might be a solution to the process. I believe the federal partners would rather look at a replacement rather than trying to fund a crossing that would be seasonal at best.
So people, hunters use that.
I think they'd rather look at the grant opportunities before we go back to a low-risk project like that.
Yeah, while you two were talking, I don't know if you heard, we had talked about a low water crossing before on this, which would have been much cheaper than $1 million. Yeah, and Sean was just saying, go ahead, and you were reiterating that, go ahead.
I think their first option at this point that I'm aware of is to look for a replacement and try to get the grant money for that. They may kick that back down to a crossing of some type or low water crossing. But again, the first thing I'd ask on this project to keep moving forward would be your consent to ask them about how the county vacating that road would affect their grant opportunities or whether they had an opinion on us backing out of that.
I'm good with that if you were, just talk to them and see, but I don't want to put a lot of money in there. Like you talked about fixing it last week.
Where are we at on Harry fixing it?
I'm sorry?
Harry fixing it, doing a
He checked the materials that we had. He believed we had all the materials and he's in the process of repairing or making a temporary repair to
We talked
that wing
about
wall.
last week of just the material we had and fixing it
Right,
right now. so-
okay,
With no expense except labor.
labor, and yeah, gotcha.
Okay.
And are they willing to help or provide funds for that small repair?
That repairs fuel and man hours only. We have,
Everything else in the county where, there's a lot of tax dollars on, these other gravel roads that need more attention than that thing. There's nobody back there that lives. That's my biggest thing on it is we're taking guys off of other parts of the county that needs the work to something that has been shut down for months that nobody uses.
well, my only line of thought is, we talked last week about the repairs, is if there was going to be a temporary repair at all, it needed to be done with it being our problem at this point. It needed to be done by us because the grant funding opportunities, even though they're applied for next year, are not going to be available until 2027. So whatever happens, if we were to wait for that to occur and remain a partner in this, or we turned it over, we would want to,
Nobody, it sounds like we're doing all the repair and the work and we're eating the cost and they're not doing anything.
at this point, yes.
What'd you say, 2 to 3 men?
Correct.
2 to 3 days, 2 to 3 men, right?
Correct. And at this point, their part of the process or the investment they have was the boring and the engineering study that was done. I don't want to neglect, as far as the repairs, that's what we're putting forward, but they also, towards this overall project, have put in the funds or found the funds for the boring and the engineering studies to be done.
I'm just confused. Didn't they hire the company that came in and did the last retaining wall?
Under my understanding, it was hired and put in by, I believe, Federal Highways, the repairs the last time were. But I say that only out of just a basic knowledge. I don't have any evidence of that, but I do believe that's correct.
Federal Highways fixed our gravel, our bridge on.
Fixed a wing wall. I believe it was under grant funding from Federal Highways that the wing wall was originally fixed and then it failed.
Do you know how long ago that was?
I do not.
How about this? Why don't you reach out to them and see what they think as far as us vacating the road now? Is it isn't, just reach out to them this week or see about vacating the road before we even go ahead and fix it.
Nope.
See what they
They're
say.
the only property.
The repairs, I believe, were supposed to be, the brush clearing and everything was supposed to begin today.
Okay.
County road.
So I mean, at least the clearing and the equipment are out there today.
Yeah, that's what we saw.
I guess we're in the middle of it then.
It's an unfortunate thing.
I guess we approved it last week, so.
But if you'd like, I'll enter into that discussion with them.
What do you say, Rick?
It's fine.
What do you think, Danny?
I don't think we should put another penny in it after this small repair. I think that we can have a huge discussion on it, and I'm in favor of vacating it. I think it's not benefiting us at all or anybody else in the county. Yeah, it's benefiting all these out-of-state hunters that utilize the walk-in hunting maybe, but they can make another access in to get in there.
Okay. I'll reach out to them this week to answer your question, about the rock.
And if we don't vacate it, Gary, how the road comes out across their land,
That's for the
we need to discuss that it's actually supposed
concrete
to
that we poured over here.
curve straight on.
Pads.
We
This is for
probably
the
need to
1077
address that
project.
at some point.
Hey, Sean, this road, the road's actually not supposed to come out where it does. It's
That's correct, from the mapping and
So that
the
maybe something
receipt.
else we need to discuss with them, like, because if we do keep it, isn't that something that we need to?
We don't
fix?
have to keep it. We don't have to keep it.
No,
We don't have to ask them.
that's right. We just, if we decide to vacate it, we would just give them notice and vacate it. If we don't vacate it, we probably want to address that situation.
Now, what is this, that one says cover material and then the other says 3/4 clean?
The 3/4 clean that you're seeing is used for the concrete work that we did for mailboxing at the Judicial Center. And I believe it may also be some of the rock that we put out back, but that was all for the Judicial Center. Towards your right-hand side is all the 1077 project, and it was listed and billed as covered material or covered material. The next topic we had was the buyback for the road graders. And we discussed last week that the buyback on each unit is 115,000. That a new unit would be 380 to 420. And after talking to Mike and Harry, I'm going to recommend that we not participate in the buyback program. One of these 3 units has had a new motor put in it under warranty. And I believe that capital equipment fund would be better used on creating a plan for the equipment we have that is more dated and in need of repair than this equipment.
So what's Harry and Mike think about that?
From our discussions, I believe they both agree and that they're ready to list other materials such as backhoes and trucks that are failing, that they're having issues. I think Mike brought up one dump truck. He also has a semi, and we have 2 backhoes that are very well dated and costing us equipment, time, and repairs.
Financially is not the best though, is it?
Financially, we could still make money on the buyback, on the program itself, on the trade-in of those, but we then would still have to deplete most of our equipment reserve
To buy new.
to buy the new ones and
We
the,
talked, they was here the last week and we talked about it, and we have a lot of equipment that's a lot older than,
I guess that would be, yeah, to jump off that subject real quick is like, instead of every year saying, we're ready to buy this today, order this part, or go out to buy 2 more replacement road graders or another dump truck. It'd be nice to know a whole year out what you plan to do with that money in the budget.
he's supposed to have, I think he gave us a list, or he's gonna have
Okay.
a list of our equipment. And that's what I asked for last week, was to maybe look
Yeah.
at and see what we want to plan out in a few years of what we want to replace next year and the year following off of the hours on the equipment or the miles.
And then, so realistically, we pay what, $6,000 each for the buyback program, or was it more than that?
it was 6,000 apiece.
Okay. So we just kind of, we're going to give that up, obviously.
Obviously, we have a new motor and one under warranty, that's a lot newer than what it would have been, as far as hours if it had still been in the unit.
And the
So-
one got a whole new
Yeah,
replacement
whole-
engine.
So between that and the cost, I don't believe that we're going to lose any or a lot of money on this.
And what's the average cost now? Are they up to 275, 300, or what's the average cost for?
From talking to the salesman, the average is 380 to 420, depending on the amenities and the
Make a day.
equipment.
Okay.
Well, that's what, they talked about some graders having 12 to 14,000 hours on it, and some they have some. If we're gonna replace something,
Okay.
I'm in favor of replacing the old ones.
What I would ask to do is to work with the shop foremans and bring you equipment list for this year, next year, and start working on a 3 to 5 year plan on equipment replacement rather than participate in this
We
buyback.
should know roughly what we put on in a year, if we look back at our records, and we would know, and even a 5 year plan of what we think we should.
That's quite possible. The only thing we won't know is like the unit that had the engine replaced, if there's a turbo issue, if there's something that
The international dump
unforeseen.
trucks were like.
Yeah,
total
if there's an
waste.
unforeseen, it may change our priority list, but we still should have a footprint to go off of.
Well, that's what I'd like to see.
Okay.
The next thing I had for you was
Did we answer the question though? On your road grader buyback? You good with it?
I'm good with that and going on to an equipment list.
The buyback on.
Yeah. It's kind of what we discussed last week. That was-
It was an $18,000 bad idea. That was me. I voted for.
Get a good Christmas present.
I guess. John Deere. I forgot who got it. John Deere.
Last week we discussed, you'll see in the left-hand column, that's 2022 prices for the park. We recommended in each area for daily parking passes, in county, out of county, and the yearly passes, we recommended $5, but we recommended for camping hookups and daily passes to go up $1 this year for each one of those items. There was no recommendation to change shelters or cabins at this time, and as well, I recommended $1 increase on the boat slips, but that's only when we reopen it and it's available, and currently it needs repairs, so it's not open.
What do you think?
I don't have a problem with it.
Is this pretty comparable to surrounding areas?
We're still a lot cheaper than other places.
We're still going to be reasonable and a lot cheaper than a lot of the places
That's what I
around
thought.
us.
Yeah.
Are you going to talk about the lease today?
I was going to mention that next.
You probably ought to have motion to approve this if you're gonna do it.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the suggested park fee schedule for 2023.
I'll second.
Do you have a copy of that for your record, David?
This is the same as we had last week, right?
Yes, correct.
Got it.
You seconded
Yeah,
it?
second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have or at least a working copy of the proposed park lease. I think each one of you have had it. Don was out last week, and I didn't make contact with him this week. He was supposed to be on vacation. So I know that he did want to come speak to you. As you'll see in that lease, some of the changes that we had proposed require us to work with Evergy and with Wildlife and Parks to implement those changes.
Because Wildlife Parks has the lease on the lake itself, right?
Yes, that is correct. So if we were going to do anything such as swimming or anything of that nature that would affect the shoreline or the water usage, we would have to work with both. So I would like to bring Don in before we send this back to Evergy and bring him in and let him speak to you.
But they're receptive to the swimming idea at a designated beach, which I think is great.
Yes.
That's a big step for the park. I think it'll increase attendance by a lot.
I believe so. I would like the opportunity for him to come and voice his statements, his concerns, or his approval to you personally.
Don and I talked, and he'd like to come talk to us if it was okay.
That's fine.
He goes to-
Yeah.
So,
And go over the UTV golf cart thing too, a little bit on, you got something, you got your thing up there, your guidance on that park thing?
as far, I can do it
Okay.
by memory. The proposal for UTV and golf cart usage at this time would allow UTV and golf carts on roadways in the park and only on roadways. They would be given a yearly park pass or permit, excuse me, and be allowed to move from one recreational area or fishing area or from campsite to campsite within the park, but there would be no off-roading at this time.
And they wasn't, Power and Light or Evergy was not in favor of that anyway, right?
At this point, that was not part of the items that they sent back. We'd talked about it and discussed it, but it wasn't on the list of things that they were receptive.
Is the horseback riding trail still going to exist?
We currently, under an agreement, have a gentleman going in under a waiver and cleaning the trail system out.
Okay.
So he is putting his own time, money, and equipment into recovering those trails.
They'll allow horse riding, but they won't allow UTVs off-road?
At this point, that's what the proposal that they've sent to us says. So we have to either agree to the proposal as it's been sent to us or return the proposal with suggested amendments or changes.
I think we should go forward with what we're doing right now. If they're receptive to everything that's on there that we've submitted, instead of fighting for our UTVs off-road, because they've never, ever even wanted us to consider a swimming area. And now we have that option.
In 1930, when the last lease was made.
But they wouldn't even talk to us till now, so. And it took like 3 years for them to even come up with this, so,
I think it's a huge step for you.
yeah.
Last week, we took control and possession of the park caretaker's house. I was able to do a walkthrough and assessment while working with Gary. We're working to make sure that all the property that's going to be removed is removed, but we do have control of that. And the next part of that process will be to clean the house out and do an inventory of what damage and repairs are needed. And then I'll bring that to you after we have that list, but we'll winterize the house at this point, and I'll bring that to you as soon as I can.
What's the suggested plan with the house afterwards?
There are multiple options. We could use it for a instead of a rental house, which is one of those options, we could create a lease and continue to rent it at some point after it's repaired, or we could use it for a weekend rental or an Airbnb, something of that nature. So once I bring you the cost of the two or what we're looking at for repairs, then I'll be better suited to tell you what the opportunities there are. Next thing I had on the list was the senior center grant. It was sent back to us. We'd asked for several items and were given a grant or the opportunity for a grant for HVAC and refrigeration at Centerville, the total being $9,440, and the grant would pay $37.76 of that, 40% of the cost of those two items. We also asked for flooring and countertops at Parker, the total being $9,952. And again, at 40% is what we were offered, would be $39.80 if we accept those grant amounts.
And we'd be paying out of pocket how much?
We'd be paying the remainder of those two items, the 60%. So
11,000 total. 250, it was nine, both projects are about 9,000, right?
correct.
And so 60% of 9,000 is 5,400. And so two times 5,000.
Are these do or die items? I mean, is everything gonna be shut down if anything, if we say we opt out of it? Are these repairs necessary to keep the buildings open?
These repairs are not necessary to keep them open. They're open currently. But I guess the items will be replaced at some point when they fail or when we have to replace them. We either accept the opportunity and get 40% of it taken care of now, or as these items fail, we take care of them ourselves.
The prices we got is a bid price that we're locked in at, if whoever bid the.
We did not bid these out. These were price estimates.
See, I can just speak on from what I know of it. I think Centerville still has a good population that show up, and they got a lot of seniors there. And Parker's probably, if I seen the numbers, we was going to close Parker at one time because there was nobody eating there, and I think their numbers moved up to 3 or 4, and maybe it's more than that. But you're talking about feeding 5 people a congregate meal, and you're going to spend whatever that was, $7,000 to do that, for them to come in and sit down and eat.
Is there 40% locked at that figure or the actual bid if we get a bid?
That's the actual number
That's the actual number.
from the estimates.
And have we ever worked out the Pleasanton issue yet?
They're gonna be secluded to one room with blankets over the doorway, I'm sure, so, and that's been an issue for 2 years, so. I mean, on top of 11,000, we got that issue, so.
Have they ever responded to
I don't.
our proposal?
Have you heard from them? Sean was dealing with it, I haven't heard from them, they don't.
Well,
The city of Pleasanton.
You know, I sent them that proposal, what we were suggesting.
yes, and I haven't received any answer to that proposal.
That's been,
Can you call this week and find out something on that? Because we've been dragging and dragging and dragging.
2 years we've been listening.
I'll put it on the list to check on.
And this is the issue we're talking about, in case you forgot, is do we leave it there and make all the repairs at that building that it's currently at, or do we move over to the city community building, right?
Correct.
And so that's what we were asking for.
So just something to keep in mind, we do have capital outlay money available in the elderly fund. 20,000 that we haven't touched this year that could be used toward these upgrades if you wanted to go that way. And then let me find the equipment reserve, because I think we have some money set aside in that too.
What else can you buy at equipment reserve for that?
Okay, give me just, let me get the file open here.
Now, the Centerville stuff is not, it's still functional. We're just replacing is what you're saying, right? As far as it.
Were they buying steam tables and all that stuff?
No,
What
we're
are they
talking
buying?
about HVAC and refrigerator at Centerville. And both are running, but the HVAC unit, not only the one at Centerville, but there's also one at Blue Mound that's probably in the next couple of years going to have to be replaced.
So, I mean, I would be in favor of the Centerville, and I'd look into the issue of the numbers. Well, we got to do it anyway. Are they worth keeping open for $7,000 or $8,000 to feed 3 people, or is it time for them just to get the Meals on Wheels and delivered meals? I mean, Lacine went through this issue for 2 years where we were down to 2 people. You pay the person, the amount she was getting was way more per day for the one person, and I can name the name, but I won't, that came in there at the end to eat. So that one person now gets her meals at home. And then we're very fortunate that we have Janet Reynolds and the library with what they do with the seniors once or twice a week anyway, and I know others don't. But at some point, it's a matter of cost too. If there's just one person eating in Parker, and I don't know that there is, there may be 10 now, but there used to be 1 or 2, and same with Prescott. And we ended up stringing Prescott along for a long time before that was done.
We do use those buildings for other things besides just the meals.
Okay.
Like the Parker gets rented out quite.
Okay, there you go. So that's something worth noting.
Centerville, I don't know if it's used for much else in that part of the building.
But I know they use it because they had the biggest congregation of people.
The equipment reserve fund for elderly right now has $38,000 in it. 20,000 of that was put in there for the Pleasanton senior site for upgrades. So there's some money there to work with for Pleasanton if we need it.
I would like to see our maintenance guys go around and get us a plan for all those buildings too. Pretty much what we did, tell me if I'm wrong, is we were presented this grant opportunity. We went out and just found the worst buildings we had with the biggest problem we would incur. And now we're looking at a $12,000 bid.
We went out to each one of the sites and determined it, with the exception of Pleasanton, because of the issues there we were facing there. Jessica and I went out to each one of the sites, determined what those sites could best be used as far as upgrades at each individual site, turned that in, and then we were told what money was available, and we countered down that list from that.
I'd like to see a plan presented to us around budget time so that we can budget for small items like that. So we're not just, so we can go back to this, say, yeah, we have, $8,000 for the HVAC. That's part of our budgeting. I just don't like how we go out and same thing happened with the gas tanks throughout the county. We were presented a grant opportunity, and then we had a $60,000 bill we had to pay. So I would just like to see a plan. I'm all about a plan. I'd like to see a plan for each building, what it needs, how long you guys think it's going to last.
You did in an instant. You went out and looked at the needs for the buildings, correct?
Each one of them, yeah.
Right. I would vote right now on Centerville and taking up them on their grant for their grant opportunity for, what is it, 40%?
Correct.
And because I know a good congregation of people meet there for congregant meals, as well as they go from there to the Meals on Wheels program. I know they do. I don't know where Parker's at. I don't know the numbers on Parker.
How much do we rent Parker out? Do you know?
I don't know. I'm not involved with that part of it.
City council rents it to meet there, I know.
Yeah, I use it for elections also. Not that we couldn't find another place there if we needed to.
I don't think it's a bad investment, Danny.
Saying I'd like to see a plan instead of.
I know, but at this
point, us fix it.
Right. But
then we lose, kind of like we did on the buyback program. There's $18,000 down the drain. Let's get a damn plan together. That's my opinion. I mean, I just hate how we were presented a grant, so we go out and find issues, and then we bring it to the public's, attention, and then here we are having to spend $11,000, and we got cities in here asking for money to keep their infrastructures going. We've already pulled their grant or their infrastructure money, which I don't know what your plan was with your infrastructure money. That's kind of what, when we pulled that money from you, I know you have a plan. Was that infrastructure money that we were going to give you this year going to go towards that?
The
The seven,
I'm confused on which.
the 70,000 that we give you or whatever it was.
65.
Yeah, was it going to go towards your water treatment plant?
That we
Yeah,
submitted.
and then when we had pulled it.
That was a good answer.
That's what that's what I-
The thing, the only thing I would comment on here is the grant opportunity that have happened since 2020, since all this infrastructure grant things coming out, even other grant programs is, Danny, you're correct on the fact that right now, any city, any community, any county, when it comes to grants, having your ducks in a row ahead of time is the best way to pursue on grant applications. But right now, what's out there and the chance that you have a grant, these grants are going fast, they're happening fast. General maintenance, general upkeep, if you have an opportunity to get a portion of that covered, it's gonna help it's gonna help you.
No, I agree.
To get that accomplished. But, so like in our instance, yes, we moved on the infrastructure dollars the ARPA funds that we received at the time, the project we had in place and ready in action that was suitable under that particular grant application was the station, and that's where we established that money. This project came along, so we pursued the process to see, what grants and funding things are available, all in pursuit of, ARPA fundings, that are suitable for water and sewer. So yeah, we went ahead and put application in for that 65,000. But and things are a priority. Everything's a priority. Those who can get their applications in quick, those that have them to a point where it looks like they're committed to it, makes a difference for those grants. So you're correct in your thinking of, trying to get things outlined so that when these possibilities come along, or like you say, hey, we're spending it this year, we're going to be taking these fundings because we know in 2 years or 3 years what we have coming forward.
No, and I'm not against the grant thing. It's just we don't, I feel like we don't have a plan. Like Pleasant's been lingering for 2 years. I put a lot of time and effort into it and it's still there. And we actually go there, I believe Rick Cassis goes there every morning and turns the AC or the heat on. And he's getting ready to retire, so I don't know who's going to do that. But there's issues beyond just those two places that's been going on
You
for
have
2
two
years.
things you're looking at two directions. So one direction is you're considering, is it worth, are we keep these buildings or not keep these buildings? That's one subject. Then your other subject is the maintenance of them. So in essence, you're talking HVAC and you're talking mechanics. So whether you keep the building or not keep the building, obviously the effect of the building itself is essential to what it's going to go forward to if you decide not to keep them. So you have an opportunity here for a grant to cover some of that cost in the long run. When you go to, if you choose not to keep that building, at least you do have a better building that you're, possible or something else.
So I look at it like this, Danny. That money that right now that's coming from Area on Aging is limited.
No, and I'm not.
And I think
I'm not against the grant money at all. Like I would vote for it. But I'm just saying, like, this
But it's
opportunity for
waiting.
us.
You want to watch waiting because you're liable to miss that. It won't be there for you
Right.
in another.
And we have other issues beyond that we need to discuss too and figure out a plan on.
Well, let's fix these two over here and let's get Pleasanton.
I just feel like Pleasanton dropped the ball on it because
Yeah.
we
We've offered it
reached out to them with an offer and they never got.
over and over.
Yeah, but we've been voted against a few times on plans too.
Okay.
So it needs to be dealt with. Because when we give 11,000 for that, I'm going to get ate alive by the people in Pleasanton over it.
Well-
I don't have a plan to tell them. I don't know. You guys put your covers up, I guess.
We do. We've had a plan.
Gave them a plan.
We gave them a plan. We gave them an in-depth plan of moving.
Danny, you do have 20, so for it's left us to know that they could just let you know there's 20,000 pinpointed right now for plus 27 budget.
No, yeah,
So you do have funding that's there if there are some things they can move on now.
Okay. I want to make a motion because I think this is good for the communities there in Area on Aging and the communities in Centerville and Parker. And Parker, I really like to go off the numbers of who's eating meals there, but the building is used for several different occasions as well. And David, my question to you is when you do your elections down there, they don't charge you for that, do they? and they don't charge us for our election facility. So my motion would be to accept the grants and pay the difference in having those repairs done for our elderly in Centerville and Parker. That's my motion. And what's the amount of that total with the 40% grant? The total is?
The total on Centerville is $9,440 as an estimate. The total on Parker is $9,952. And those again are both estimates on.
Okay, that's my motion. Either shoot it down or don't.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
But I still want to get a huge plan together for Pleasanton so that whenever they call me in 20 minutes, I can tell them, hey, this is what we're doing.
I wish they would call us in
We
20
can't make a
minutes.
decision on, we can't do any repairs on, we're not going to do any repairs on the building until we get an answer from Pleasanton, correct?
We've been negotiating with Pleasanton for quite a while, Danny, and my understanding is they never come back with anything from our last offer.
Have you had any communication with them in the last month?
And so instead of four of us coming at them at once, I just kind of let
I
Sean.
sent the thing to Teresa. She contacted me back with a couple clarifications, which I made, and then said she was gonna bring it to the council, and that's the last we've heard.
Maybe you could call her.
Dan, do you want to fill this like around the senior centers? I can bring it back.
No, it's all right. And I'm not against, I want to maintain all the buildings and all that. I'd like to have a plan when budgeting comes along for the elderly. We can say, hey, we're going to figure in, not just here's 20,000 for Pleasanton. Let's figure in like what the buildings need. I know that Parker has the sliding floor or whatever you want to call it. And that's part of that grant, right? It's gonna be-
Correct.
That's something else, like Rick said, maybe we could get something that shows how many people actually went to Parker for the year, at the end of the year, show us how many people.
Call Leslie and get the number.
I was going to say, I'll probably have to rely on area on aging for those
Where we
things.
look at each building and just see, like Rick said, it might come down to the point where we do have to look at shutting one down, if
I'll try to get some numbers from them and.
And it's not, let's don't throw that word out there, shutting it down. You will still get your food, but it will be delivered to you if that's the case. You'll have a ride out here.
blame you.
Yeah, there you go.
Commissioners, the only thing I have left for you is I need 5 minutes executive time for non-elected personnel.
Gary, you guys have anything?
I don't need executive sessions. I do have a request for dump fee, modification, like this is on a property at 11433 Thomas Road. Property owned by some folks named Higgins. They're the applicants. They demolished a house actually on another site and dumped it here on this site. And in order to avoid, having to go to codes court, they need to clean this up, and they've requested, since it is a demo, they've requested forgiveness on the dump fees. And Darren has looked it over and recommends.
Was it requested by the county or how does that work?
Darren went out and told you got to do something about this.
So it was a property that was called on for debris being stacked up on. I went out and looked at it, made contact with the landowner. The landowner obviously doesn't have the money to move it anywhere, so they're gonna be, and they're already in violation, so they'll be either in coach court if we don't offer to help him. He's got ways to get it to the guy, but he doesn't have to pay them.
You said it falls within everything, all our standards.
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we allow the fees to be waived.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And our new rules are in place now to where, once this starts,
Yeah, he's got 90 days.
90 days, okay. Anything else?
Nothing else for me.
You have anything, Darren?
No,
Hey, let him go into the meeting with us.
Um,
He's elected now.
yeah, I think that's appropriate.
No.
You have anything else, David, in executive time?
No.
Well, I make a motion, we go into executive session for 5 minutes
Include him. Jason Hightower.
with Jason. Jason, the new elected commissioner, is here too for, his term starts in January. He's gonna go in with us. I make a motion, we go in for 5 minutes.
Second.
Non-elected personnel with Sean.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye. I'll make a motion. We continue on with the executive session for 10 more minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Hey, did you? That's hurtful. Hurtful.
There's no action from executive sessions
I just have some tickets I gave you. I need to give back to Joyce.
right there.
Thank you. Those are the Chiefs game? Those are the kind of tickets you're talking about?
I don't watch football.
I did have a message from Missy earlier that she'd give a report when she got here,
Okay.
when she was scheduled, so she should be on her way soon.
Okay.
What time's she gonna be here?
Let's just take a,
Scheduled
take a recess then.
Take a 10-minute recess.
Make a motion to take a 10-minute recess.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I get them all. Yeah, that was a real tough one for me.
Have a good week, Gary.
See you later.
I'm not questioning.
Right, you're on the way.
Not like last night. It's so you know what?
Just had me see my change. The guy that's over here,
It's making everything easier.
now whether he actually wanted to do it again or not. So,
Those cylinder expenses. One place that cost them, it's small, respect, stay there. No, that's the answer to the whole thing. We're not talking about ice. So far, it's Thursday, on we do it right in front of the cattle purchase and the feedlots, all this, and it's just easy to say if all I see it. Further throw it into the regular landfill, so. I could probably move this up there.
Ruts and stuff, and that was it. We can get started.
Well, you was time to but anything we want to do, make it easier. Anyways, like the historical society, and they don't hear this stuff. They put down, just look at the they want to answer. Like, well, I got it like, that's to the next year, passed away, I didn't see it, but, okay, you got something like last time. Sure. That's last time. Seriously. They didn't do whatever. I have said, well, you remember the few years to my boy, so that's like. Listen. Good, are you? Yeah. Too much. Pretty good at that, so. Thursday and down on Friday. Saturday, You were early. I'm so noisy and I couldn't be. Having so much trouble with her. Better keep it up, then if he's gone, somebody. No. Really? I'll wait.
David, do you remember the silver-haired legislator's name?
No, but I can look for it.
Just messing with your system. I guess so with that staple.
It could be a new update.
Yes.
Most of the time, somebody designs or tries. They just put out.
Jeannie McPherson.
Yeah.
Okay, your 10 minutes is gone if you're ready.
Oh, we'll call you up every week.
So we're back in session, so we need to, Missy, you want to come ahead?
Here's all my numbers for the.
Yes, please.
Was a short week, so we don't have a whole lot. We had 2 WIC, 6 COVID tests, and 5 vaccinations. We were off last Thursday and Friday, but very, very busy this morning for testing. Lots of RSV and influenza A. So I expect we'll be very busy this week. COVID tests are on Wednesday, flu. So anybody can come and get a flu shot any day, but COVID is Wednesday. And that's all I have for this week, this last week.
Okay.
Okay.
And we're gonna have discussions over the health department as far as the, yeah. We're ready for that if you want to.
Right now.
Open?
Sure.
Yeah. We can do an open session.
So what we need to look at is we have about ideas. We have grant money that needs to be spent by June 30th of this year. Okay. And so here are some ideas. We have our covered testing area going. These are the two that we have, which is, let's see, ELC, expanding infrastructure, which is this, and we have $87,000 in it. Then in our CRC, we have 132,560. The covering is going to be, what was it, 55,000? Some of those will be salaries. So we need to kind of decide. I have some ideas. There are some ideas here that my grant manager sent me. Look at those. It's not IEP in 3 and 4. Like it's these right here.
Okay.
Okay. So some of the things they have are like a new sign out front. If we want a sign that's lit up like a digital sign, I got a quote for that, and it would be $35,000, and it would look like this. It'd be tall, be elevated,
So what's these represent?
You just want to pull a chair up here, Jason? You come on up.
Testing grant. Expanding infrastructure, and then these are the FEP grants. These are the different grants. We don't need to worry about these. Because we
Okay.
have those in touch.
So these are just different grants.
Yes. and
Abbreviation.
these are some ideas.
And where do the ideas come from?
Grant managers at state.
Did the board look at this? The health board?
No,
Why not?
because
Now, on this sign, this is a totally different grant that you were talking about? Or what were you talking
They're
about?
all the same.
Oh,
They're not
all
the
of
same.
them, okay.
it'll be,
These are the grants.
yes, the grants, there, we have 8 grants, and we can only use them for certain stuff, and we have one grant that ends in, June of 23, and we have to use it, there's quite a bit of money in there. So we've done our parking lot, we've done a covered parking, or covered testing area, so that we don't have to test out in the weather, because anybody that's sick, we go out to the car. We also can go out and do vaccinations in the car, or whatever, if someone doesn't want to come in, or can't get in and out of the car very well. And so we're looking at some different things to spend this money on, that is something that's gonna, we can use it for salaries, and some, all of it will be used for Amber's salary, that's how she's paid. And then, the rest we need to spend on something that we can use for the health department. It can't be, some of it can be used for testing supplies, but we want to put it to good use on things that we could really use that's lasting. Okay, and so we've done the parking lot. This is an elevated sign. Our sign is very hard to see. It's little and it's set over to the side, and we a lot of times get confused with CHC. And so we're looking at an elevated sign, and we have the money. It's about $35,000.
Would you get a quote for the electrical to be right out there?
No, I just got that, or I got that Tuesday.
Um,
But I talked to Chris about it, and I thought maybe he was going to come. So. Some other things that they have looked at, diabetes educator, which we already doing that. So we should.
Is there really that much they offer? I mean, not offer, but how many residents coming in for actual,
Diabetes education?
I mean, yeah.
Well, we don't have a budget right now because she's not actually certified yet. But she has already seen 2 or 3 new diabetics and done the training and shown them how to give their injection.
But don't the primary caregivers, don't they send that, like, if you're with Olathe or KU Med Center, don't they offer that to them anyway?
They don't, it's not the training. Or they only get it once at that appointment.
Yeah.
They get home and they're like, oh, shoot, I can't remember what she said.
But they offer like a 2-hour package if I,
I don't know in other places.
half day, yeah.
Well, I think as far as if you're diabetic, they give you an education there, at wherever you're.
They do. They give you the education, but you're only shown how to give yourself a shot once, and then they send you home and say, okay, you need to do this every day or weekly. they go, oh,
Mhm.
darn, I don't want to do that. Or they change your medication. There's so many different kinds of medication, how it's given, is it given once a week, is it given every day, is it given 2 days? You know, so, and so she's gonna get that, and so I thought we could reimburse her for that, because it is $800, and then she'll be a certified diabetic educator. And then we could also have.
How many people come to, how many people do you think will come?
I don't know, it's new,
$800 though,
that's for the class.
and that's paid for by the grant?
Yes, and
Okay.
that's actually, that's what this pays for.
Okay.
That was on there. You know, signage, if you want to do that, jackets and logos. I mean, there's just all sorts of stuff. It has to be, everything has to relate back to COVID. How can we use it for COVID? So there's some ideas.
Here, it's your ideas.
No, these are all great managers' ideas. These are not ours. Just of ways to spend it and make it useful and long lasting. So if you guys want to look at that and you'll kind of think about it, a lot of the stuff we already have. You know, some of it was like an intercom system, but door locks, we got those. The covered testing, we're getting that. So there's lots of different ways that you can use it. It's just, what do you guys think?
And we don't need, this is, I don't see equipment on here. Is there equipment? I don't know. What kind of equipment
There's
would
some
you
there,
use?
pallet
Oh,
jacks
okay.
and different things,
Oh.
washers and dryers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you just get this list? Did
I
you
got
just,
last week.
okay, so,
And I
Not a generator, we already have a generator.
Right, so I
right?
said a lot of stuff we already had, but they were just trying to, I was running out of ideas to use it.
mhm.
So that's kind of, you know, what I was looking at, what can we use it for?
So why don't you tell us what you would like to use it for? I think your board would be great to get together on this
That's what I would think. The board would help decide.
and help sell something on, you guys sell it.
Well,
you know.
yes,
I
I
mean-
agree. I mean, I could call a special meeting, but we don't have a meeting until January. This is a safe room that we've talked about, and there's actually is a space for back there. There's floor plans. Have I given you these already?
No.
This is the floor plans that Chris gave me. This is your storage room, and actually an area was already poured for the safe room. But I don't know if we want to build one, or if we want to buy one, or if you even want one. These dotted lines are all where the extra peters were poured, in case we want.
What would you use it for?
Safe room,
Yeah.
tornadoes, active shooter, storage, and some of our computer supplies that we would need in an emergency. And then we talked about a classroom possibly in that. I think the classroom would be utilized a lot more than we.
Or what?
Academic education classes, WIC education classes, meetings.
Does she do, Vicky, right? She does a WIC?
Yes,
Does she do a lot of education classes now?
is required
Where they do it at?
in her office or in Cynthia's office.
So, okay.
And we could do more if we had the bigger area. Like I said, we have the boardroom and it's a nice area, but it's not big enough to hold class in.
Isn't the whole back side of the new part open? Or isn't the new part?
Well, yeah, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but just storage back there.
Can we not utilize that for a classroom area?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Oh, that's what,
Yeah, build some walls and make it a classroom. You wouldn't want people back there right now with all those supplies back there. Just,
Able to go through everything.
yeah, and see what we have. There's no carpet or anything. Like if we do exercise classes, I would check with the Arthritis Foundation to see what kind of.
How many people do you think would come to Pleasanton from the other surrounding areas in the county?
I
mean,
think we would get more down this way because the library does so much up north. I'm hoping to draw some more from like Prescott, Pleasanton, Mound City area. Because Lacine has a really big drawing for all their classes. I mean, they're great. So I'd like to not compete with them, but draw more people that maybe don't have transportation up to Lacine. And it's not something that you have to decide today. I can make you all copies of them. I didn't get a chance this morning, just been super busy, but
Does the grant money have to be used in the health department?
it has to be used in, with the health department and COVID. Like, what do you think?
Well, I mean, you just said it, half the county up there, in Valley and Lacine, works so well, what they've got now. Is there any of this funding that if we don't find a good reason for it, could they use it for their part of the geriatric stuff that they use?
I don't know. I'd have to ask them. I don't know. Like, what do you think?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That would be, no. If they had a reason for it, could it be used up there? And then, is this a class that maybe Vicky could go up there once a month? If the money was available to be used up there and they had a good reason for it and was accepted, would she go up there or one of your people?
It has to directly be related back to COVID. So how would you justify?
I don't know.
I would think, I mean, just like you say, Lacine has their group up there, Pleasanton has their group, Blue Mountain. I mean, the people, if you went to the people instead of the people coming to you, because I don't think that the older populations, Linn County is gonna drive to Pleasanton to go to your meeting, or to your training is what I don't think.
You don't think if we had some sort of an arthritis class for?
Yeah, I personally, I don't think. I think they might if it was in their local town, but I don't think they'll drive 30 miles to go.
You don't think people in
Pleasanton would. Pleasanton might be. I'd say Madison's.
They should. It's close enough.
I mean, it's 6 miles. And doing something off-site, I don't really see how we could justify WIC off-site.
I don't either.
And we tried it before and they were gonna go to attendance. So, I don't know. And like I said, it doesn't have to, you could just shoot me ideas, that you guys think. I will get it down because I need to figure in Amber's salary for the rest of this year till June of 23. And then that'll be taken off immediately, but we're still gonna have quite a bit of money.
I would like to run it past your board too and see what their ideas are.
Sure.
To see, let them see what they
I'll
think.
send them all, I'll email all a copy and of all this information and see what they, along with what we'll have left to spend till June.
How's your participation been with your meetings on the board?
That's why.
Do you even have enough for a quorum?
But Gary said we didn't have to since we're not.
Have you not had since we started it? I mean, never.
The first one was really good. And then it just, and it's not that they don't want to participate. Like, she's like, it's not that I want you, but I have grandkids that play ball. And I'm not going to miss that. I understand. So they suggested to go quarterly instead of every month. And so we'll have a meeting in January. And so I'm hoping that will pick it up.
You got any idea on boards, Jason? You've been on some as far as what we could get for participation.
This is fairly a new board.
We haven't had it real long. Just a health advisory board.
Right. I think continuing to try to turn over and find the people that are going to participate. I don't think that, everybody who says that they'll come on and serve a term isn't cut out for it. And it takes time in establishing it and trying to get the right people on there to have an effective board. So if I like the 3 unexcused absences that you guys are putting in there on the other boards, if they're not having contact, if they're not participating, we need to be doing something else. We need to be finding someone else who might be doing those things. I think there's churn involved in those boards.
Well, I send out a week before, on Monday, fourth Monday of every month, whatever, and so January, I'm gonna call them the day of and remind them. I'm gonna do them a week ahead of time, do them the day of. It's something. And all of them would be, busy.
I mean, the other boards we have too, I mean, there's no difference with them. I mean, they make it. I think it's you gotta want to do it and, you know, I agree with Jason. It's, because the people that reach out to me actually reach out to me. I didn't even reach out to them to want to be on the board. And it's disappointing to hear that we can't get a meeting.
And I think when you get into like stuff you're talking about now, take this to the board and get opinions. If you could make them feel like they're more involved with the decisions, it helps on people that want to get involved with it.
Yeah, this would be a good idea to send this out for December and say, look this over with your ideas. That's what I'm saying.
Send it
Send it out, let them think about it. Maybe you'll get some emails back on it.
And just like the sign issue, you know, versus putting $30,000 in a sign there, would we be better off having something throughout the county for people to know? Or is that, do you think the 30,000 right there for a sign?
Well, if you don't want to do a sign, I'm fine with that. I would just like to see ours moved because it wasn't where it was supposed to be anyway. Maybe move it.
Well, I think if we're gonna put money into it, I think it needs to be digital. It needs to be something that's more flashy.
And that's what that is.
You don't even see that sign when you, I mean,
No.
it's like the one on the way to get off the on-ramp or off-ramp at Lacine to go right to go to the lake. You don't even notice that one in the middle. Rick, you probably drive by it every day. You probably barely notice it. I mean, I think it needs to be flashing. I mean,
It would
Hell
be,
of a good sign.
it would be a digital sign.
yeah, it's something that different to the eyes.
Yeah, it is. You can't see them.
Oh, here, it is. It would be digital and then, it would.
Did you check with anybody else?
Well, we have another bid out to Midwest.
So when I was at the bank, we used Shirley signs out of Riley, Kansas. And they were always, we had like 3 that we would bid out to, and they always seemed to be coming in low.
Were they elevated?
Yes. Yeah, and like, First Option Bank has digital ones at all their locations now.
Yeah, I saw theirs up there. I wondered.
So, but Shirley Signs is who did those.
And it's out of there.
Riley, Kansas, just north of Manhattan.
Okay. I'll check with them and then we got one out to, Midwest Signs in Kansas City. And they would be elevated
That was the
and
other one we
illuminated in the
used.
program from inside. And I think it'd be nice just because you can scroll stuff across, like, don't forget flu shots, don't forget COVID, don't forget we have diabetes class on this day or that day, or whatever we need on it. It could be even stuff for the county, you know, because it's, you know, scroll.
So is the covered testing facility already out of these numbers, or you still have to pay for it?
We still
those
pay for
numbers?
it. We paid our first payment of $17,000, and he has another payment requested, but we're waiting for him to finish the concrete.
Which I kind of had a deal in that. He was going to do it. And I kind of put a stop to it because it was too cold. And I told him, I was like, you can't.
Well, and last week would have been perfect, but he was in
He was
Oregon.
gone. Yeah,
Yeah,
he was trying to push to get it done. I actually don't know if you knew. I showed up there and he had it. I said, you can't pour that. It's going to be 19 degrees tomorrow. I was like, you don't care if you're covered or not. You can't do it. So that's why he held off on that, was because of me.
Yeah, and I figured, I had talked to Jim about that and told him, and I think it was like 23 degrees that day, and figured it was probably, and like I said, last week he was out of.
What, you said you talked to Chris about the electrical, because that'll be,
Does that one include electric?
this one doesn't now.
I think when I get there, I think it includes installation with electric. But I haven't checked it. And then I'll check with this, Shirley. I mean, if it's something that you're interested in, a lot of health departments are doing it with this money and they're getting really booked. So,
Price going up.
what's that?
That means price is going up.
Everything's going up.
I mean, if I really like the idea of the sign. I think it's, I don't know, it might draw attraction from off the highway. Somebody sees something flashing, they might pull over just if they want to take a break, see what it says. I don't know.
And here, we could always, if we get that, we could move that sign down to where the stop sign is with an arrow pointing. If, you know, the sign that we currently have for the issues, that way they know. Sometimes people still go uptown because they'll Google where we're at and they end up uptown on Main Street. We're not there, they end over at CAC. Just something to think about. I'm just trying to think of long lasting stuff.
So if you did the sign and you did the awning, where does that leave your money?
I don't know, I would have to look. And that's what I said, I'll get down some definite numbers. Probably not today. Maybe tomorrow or Wednesday. I meet with my grant managers tomorrow, actually. My name's Missy.
I'm Jason.
Nice to meet you. Any other questions?
I don't have anything.
If you think, just think, how can I use this in relation to COVID? How is it gonna benefit? I have asked several times for a vehicle for the health department through the grant so that we could go out and do expanded testing in like the lake areas, Tablewood, Chaparral, all that. Like at least one for a year, but I think that's kind of a waste of money. We're not gonna end up with a car after.
I think you should call Janet, at least have a conversation with her. Reynolds, Lacey,
Lacey Library.
Oh, yeah, we're.
about this is what I'm saying.
I'm checking my grant managers first,
Yeah.
maybe tomorrow, and just see how much outreach stuff we can use. It for.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be where I start with them tomorrow. With me and the grants.
Because with them and as well as Lynn Valley we could benefit from it
Oh,
maybe.
yeah, I agree. Any way that we can outreach is. I think,
And they're not, most of them are not going to come this way. There's a few that will, but they're not.
Well, we had our biggest flu clinic at Linn Valley this year.
Good. But you went there.
We would take.
I'm talking about them coming to your office for stuff. They don't normally,
Right.
What is the breakdown as far as the people that actually come to your office versus the ones you go out to? Do you know as far as your?
We get a big, we do very well in our satellite clinics because we go to the senior centers, we go to Linn Valley, Plum House, went to Blue Mound, to the seniors, we went to all the senior centers. We went to the schools and yeah, it's good because it's convenient. We take
Well, I'm
it to
saying
them.
percentage wise out your outreach versus the other.
Percentage wise,
Cause maybe we can look at that and see.
I mean, yeah, hundreds.
and I would reach out to the school districts and nurses and find out if there's anything we could do for them as well with that money after you talk to your grant managers.
Mhm. And we do use some of that for outreach, some of that money will go to the COVID testing, COVID vaccines, flu vaccines.
So with the flu season and all that and the school shutting down last week, are you in the schools doing anything right now?
No, I mean, we went and did all our flu shots. And we have been up to the DOs and call us if he needs to come test. So I did talk to, Kim from the jail, from the sheriff's department, and we're gonna start doing their, inmates TB skin tests. So it's kind of an agreement that we've done. Their prices are way high and we can get it to our inmates in county. So we're gonna
So
start.
would you have to go there daily or I mean, just remember how it is?
She said she called me as a batch comes in, like there's supposed to be several come in, I think on December 6th. So, and then they have to be done within 10 days after they get inside. So we'll go over here and we'll place the tests and then get them the paperwork and then CHC will come read them and then get it back to us. It's just kind of a nice thing I think we can do for our county.
So you place the test and CHC reads it.
Why is that? Because they have a physician and we don't?
Because, no, I mean, it'd be a nurse, that's just the way that they would like to do it, and that's fine. I mean, we can go over and read them, it's not a big deal. But they, has to be read at 48 or 72 hours. So if you want us to go over and read them, it's fine, but they're gonna read them and then fax it all to us, and then have it done on record.
Some of that could be with the agreement he already has with CHC.
I got
too,
you.
Because they're providing medical care there.
Right, and I can't remember how much she told me it was gonna be for a TB skin test, like $80 or something. We can do it much cheaper, and we can do that for our county, our sheriff's department, justice center. So,
Awesome.
yeah. So, any other questions?
I don't have any.
Okay, I'll get this all worked up and maybe next week, give you how much money we're actually gonna have left, and then I'll send it out for money. I'll send you some stuff back.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Alice here from Solid Waste wanted to talk to you too.
Okay. Al, you want to come ahead?
Aldone, Solid Waste Coordinator. Sean said that you may have some questions for me.
We just talked about what about the, dumping down at where we're at versus going to Iowa? That was a
Yeah.
question I had. Did you do any more checking on that or?
No, I haven't. We are under contract with Oak Grove. I think it runs out in April. And I have a copy of it. I just haven't looked over it.
Where we're at now, we're in
Yeah,
contract?
yeah, we're under contract with them.
How long do you have to sign the contracts for?
Theirs was a yearly contract. It was a rolling contract. It just renewed on its own, and unless we went and told them that we didn't want their service anymore. So,
Do you see any downfalls of taking it to Iowa?
I mean, it's going to take a little longer, but other than that, no.
How much notification do we have to give them to get out of the contract?
I would have to go over the contract and read it and find out. I'm guessing probably a month in advance would be plenty.
You probably should send it to Gary, the contract.
Okay, I can do that.
Have you heard our plan on the tipping trailer? What do you think of that?
I like it, yeah.
Okay. Is there anything you want to add to it, make it better?
No, I mean, of course, we're going to have another machine to load with. But yeah, I mean, everything sounds good. Eventually, I think we'd have to go to that anyway. I mean, and we are going to save some fuel cost.
Because right now we're taking, 2 trucks 2 times a day, or?
Yeah.
I thought that the plan was, though, to look at the cost. You're going to now take this stuff and take it all the way back down to the walking floor trailer, dump it out, right? And load it back into that, right?
We could do it that way, yeah.
What was your plan to do it? That's the way I understood you were. Right now, you go just get whatever's there. Hopefully it's full and it weighs 2 or 3 ton or whatever it is and haul it off.
Well, that would be a benefit of the walking floor trailer. If one of our guys did pick it up, it only had 2 ton in it, we could dump it and reload it. I mean, we don't want to drive down there for 2 tons.
Well, whatever you're doing now, I just threw that number out.
Yeah.
Whatever. So now, this is what I was asking, is now you're going to go to Prescott and Pleasanton and all these places, and you're going to drive to Prescott, right?
Drive to Prescott, yeah.
And you're going to empty it. And you're going to spend man hours, right, to re-scoop it up and load it back into a trailer to haul off. Add a couple more tons to it.
I don't agree with that.
Okay, so what's your suggestion? Maybe I'm the one that missed out on that, I guess, that part of the conversation.
I mean, if it's already loaded, why would we take it back and dump it?
What's the walking trailer just for down there?
Yeah, it'd be
Just for there?
The commercial that we get, yeah.
Okay, so nothing else. So we're going to continue on with our progress. How's that going to work? How's that going to save us money?
That's what the study that we're currently having done.
Okay.
Tell us, and try to give us the numbers.
What's our percentage of commercial versus residential?
Oh, we get a lot more commercial.
Right.
I'm going to say we get roughly 20 ton a week of commercial trash.
How
Right
much
around there.
residential?
We have people coming in all the time. I mean, we change that box probably at least 3 times a week,
Okay.
sometimes 4. So, I mean,
just-
if we had the walking floor, we wouldn't have to change it so often.
So have you sat down and thought the process out now with so you have the walking floor trailer and it's working great, and you're still going to have to go to all these sites and pick up and go dump it.
Right.
Is it going to add, what's that going to add as far as cost?
I
I mean, that's what we're doing a study on?
We're doing a study on the cost benefit analysis for walking floor trailers and our system for our disposal. And that's what the.
But-
And Alan and I had also talked about the cells. You're looking at, he's telling me our last cell, 1.5 years, 2 years, we're gonna be out of that cell. So that and the study should allow us to try to mirror those timeframes together, because rehabbing the tipping floor that we may walk away from may not be the best option. It may be better to go ahead and have the study done, look at what we build in the future, and when that last cell's done, rehab our whole system, because we're not.
Rehab, what are you talking about? Rehab what system? I mean, what are you talking about?
If we redesign the tipping floor.
Come on up here.
If we redesign the tipping floor now, it may be more cost prohibitive now as opposed to when that cell is completed and we have to move that operation anyway to open up a new cell.
Right. Well, we've done that twice or three times since I've been here. And they cost, what's a cell cost about? 250,000, 300,000? Yeah. Yeah. But
And that's what we need to know is where that next cell will open up and where our operation should be and benefit to and location to that next cell.
There's no room over there for another cell.
so you're done. Prescott's done.
Done on our side, yes.
Well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Well, how come we're now finding this out?
We have no more room for a cell down there to dump.
No, not at our current location.
That's not good.
So if we redesign the tipping floor and we get the numbers from the engineers on the cost benefit analysis, in my mind, rehabbing a floor that we may walk away from is not the best option. We may look at where we move this operation to that next group of cells, putting in a tipping floor for the walking floor trailer and redesigning at that location.
That in itself will be a major issue to the communities.
It will.
We have how long to figure out the site?
We have about a year and a half to 2 years left on this cell.
You better start figuring now. Because it takes a while to dig it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
So you're saying we might have to take all our structures that are there and move maybe across the road?
Across the road? Yeah, I mean,
We don't own that, do we?
yeah,
We do?
yeah.
Oh, so we can open it on the other side.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
we
trees.
can actually.
Make me feel better. Start out with that.
Okay. Yeah, we can actually weigh them and then they can just go across.
So we
the
have,
road.
how many acres do
Okay.
we have down there we can use for cell?
That I don't know.
But we still have to push trees and open stuff.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Build
It's-
fence.
But has that been approved? Do you know? Do we have to get approval to build over there?
Yes.
And no, I know we do, but have we already got permission because of the further sales that we can also in the future build cells there?
No.
I'm unaware.
Are we in the process of,
A permit to open up any new cell.
Not open up any. Have we ever even investigated whether we could?
Not.
Okay.
this is a whole nother problem before the dumping floor trailer.
Yeah.
Nice to know.
But we could possibly buy some time. We would have to go to an engineer and KDHE and see if we could go higher on our current landfill.
I know we've done that. Haven't we done that before or something? Or we didn't have enough fill in it one time. Top. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, topsoil.
So this is something we better be working on fast.
Yesterday.
Okay.
I would like to raise the dumping fee for the C&D because it is going to cost so much for us to close it and to reopen another cell. I mean, if we could kind of put some money back, it's not going to be pretty.
Work with Alan, like if the park, and bring you a fee schedule next week. I can get with him and get it typed out for you.
The used tires that come in, we're hauling them all off now. We're not cutting the sidewalls on them.
No, we don't have the staff to cut. The tire machine that we have, it's like a 1975. I'm not even sure if we get parts for it anymore, but we were getting blades for it. The blades were $1,500 and we could cut about 300 tires and then we'd have to get a new set of blades for it.
Is there better machines, different types of machines? How much are
Jackie was actually looking and getting a grinder to grind them tires up and it would separate the metal. We could actually recycle the steel out of them and then all the rubber would go into
Really?
our tire monofill.
But that doesn't cost much.
So now, So we have a lot of problems here that we don't really have a plan on, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
So is the engineers gonna cover each compaction site too, to make sure we're being efficient on all that? Because isn't some of our equipment not, I mean, it's pretty old and it's not compacting those containers completely full?
Yeah.
So some of those gonna need replaced too?
Eventually, yes.
Then our containers themselves are rotted out.
Oh, yeah, yeah, we need containers too.
Something to go over with one.
That's another thing. You want me to take one to JR and see what he would charge to rebuild one?
How many do we have?
We have around 10.
What's the cost to replace one, brand new, or
Brand new, they're a little over 10,000.
10,000?
Yeah.
That's through JR.
No, that's through
buying
a
brand new
company
ones?
that actually makes them.
What about the compactors themselves?
The motorized part of it. Yeah, some of them are from the 70s. So yeah, eventually, I mean, we've been pretty lucky. They've all been going.
You don't think hauling them from our compactor sites to Prescott, if we got 2 or 3 ton versus dumping it, would save us
It probably would. It probably would.
any money where we could put 30 or 20?
Yeah, it would. It definitely would. Yeah.
You just have like a funnel system pushing it into a loader pushing it into a trailer, right?
Well, the way it is, the tipping floor is flat. Yeah, and you just push it straight into the trailer.
You just dump it out of these
Yeah,
and then shove it in
yeah.
the walking floor trailer and take it.
So you just have a truck probably once, like what, twice a week, run around and grabbing each container, dropping it. But right now we have 2 trucks 2 times a day driving
Yeah.
there and back.
Yeah, there's a lot of these compactor sites. They get dumped every week. That's like Linn Valley.
You're taking these compactor sites to Arcadia every day.
Right.
If you got 10 of them, so
Yeah.
you're making a trip a week, that's 10 trips. Versus, wouldn't it be cheaper to take them to Prescott, dump them out, put them in a water?
It would, yeah. It'd just be time consuming.
That's what I was envisioning. That's what I thought our plan was. We'd take each one of them to Prescott, open the back of it, drop it, and then
Yeah.
take it back to the deal.
But we were going to find out how much it was, if it was truly a savings.
Right.
Right.
That's what I'd say. I
Is
thought
it
that's
truly
what
a savings?
That's what our goal was, to see the savings wise of doing that versus.
Because now we go to Tanglewood, we go to Linn Valley and Lacine and Prescott and all those places. And we're picking them up now when they're full.
Mm-hmm.
We hope they're full. And sometimes full is not as full as they
Could
be, right?
I mean, yeah.
So regardless of how full they are, we pick it up and take it.
We
We
pretty
take
much have no choice because take the holiday. Everybody had to be empty for the holiday because they would have to shut down because they would fill up. So they may dump them like on a Tuesday and say the holiday's on a Friday. They would have to change them out again Thursday, so they would make it through the weekend and the holiday.
And how are those roll-off trucks? How many do we have? 2?
Yeah, we actually have 3. One of them we try not to use. It's got a lot of miles on it, but we do have 3 of them.
So what about the other 2? I mean, are they going to need replaced in 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, there's one.
Need some more ARPA money, don't we? Yeah.
The Sterling we have, it's got over 300,000 miles on it. One of the newer ones that we're using to run with, it's got over 200,000 on it.
But if we did it the way we want to, we'd only need 1 truck that's fully operable going around each site.
We probably could. I mean, as far as 1 truck just going out, getting them and taking them back and dumping them, we could probably get away with just
And
1
then
truck.
1 walking floor trailer, would that do it? 1 walking?
I don't know if we would need 2. I mean, it would be better to have 2 walking floor trailers.
What are you predicting? How many trips we'll make down there a week with that walking floor trailer? 1?
If we dump everything in it,
If we went on all week and just grabbed each container, dropped it at the landfill.
it would probably go every other day. At least.
How many trips do we make? No.
We're making, in a week, we're making close to 20 with straight trucks.
So would the guy that's driving the containers back and dropping them off So if they went every other day, he could jump out the truck that next day, shove everything, get that trailer ready, and then take it down, right?
Mhm.
So really, we wouldn't have another employee there.
We would have to have another employee there, yes.
Right now, we have 2 truck drivers, right?
Yeah. Yeah, one of them would have to take care of the transfer station, and then the other one would have to go and pick up the boxes. But with our permit, we can't leave anything on the tipping. The tipping
Oh, you
floor
can't
has to
do
be
it.
clean at the end of the day. It's got to be clean.
Can be shoved in the truck and sit there.
Yeah, as long as it's contained in something.
So we take one of those truck drivers we have now and put him on a loader.
Yeah, good, yeah.
How big of a machine do you need to push that in there? Would the skid steer you have work?
No, we need something a little bigger than a skid steer.
Like a front end loader?
Bigger's better, bigger the bucket. The more you're gonna get in, the quicker you're gonna get it done. Like a rubber wheel loader,
Yeah.
that's what Miami County used.
So is that the details that the engineers are getting into? That's what we,
I believe that's what they're getting into. But
are they
when
gonna
we
come-
first started this conversation, you weren't thinking the same thing we were talking about at the end of the conversation, that you were still going to continue on with those dumps
Boxes.
and go
Yeah.
straight to the Arcadia.
Yeah.
But at the end of the conversation now,
Well, we could do it either way. I mean, it doesn't
Okay.
matter to me.
so just need to
Well,
know,
if you got 20 trips going to Arcadia, no. Is
Yeah.
that the way I understand
It is gonna save fuel.
20 trips versus, you said one every other day? Or
Yeah, probably three a week, 4 a
Three,
week.
that's quite a few hours and miles, I think. But, I mean, I know
Yeah.
you could be going 20 miles to Prescott or whatever it is to the dump site.
How many times a day, or how many times a week does the compactors need done? Just once a week?
Most of them, yeah.
I feel like that'd free up a bunch of time. I mean, don't you? I mean, if you have one guy running, getting the containers and bringing them all to the site,
Mhm.
then there's 4 days out of the week that he's not gonna be doing much. Could he get every one of them dumped in one day?
No. It doesn't work like that. We have to go by when they get full. I mean, you may have,
oh, we used to, now we have to wait, but we wouldn't really necessarily have to wait, would we? If the walking floor
Oh, if you
trailer's
wanted to-
there and every Tuesday you say, no matter what, every Tuesday I'm coming to get,
we could, yeah,
okay.
sure.
Would that make your life easier?
You could schedule it.
I don't know if one driver can keep up with that.
If we set all the dump sites up on a schedule, we picked up
Say,
here
yeah,
Tuesday and just did that on a,
yeah, he could probably,
how do we know they're full? When we go, how does Mound City know they're full? Once it quits pushing in?
yeah, once,
So really, we don't have any
There's no gauge or anything.
notice or anything
Yeah.
that how close we are.
So you just get the phone call, help.
yep. Yeah, and we try to get them before we get that phone call too. So.
Because when they get full, then you get a lot of mean phone calls.
So there's a lot to think about, and a lot to work on, for that. So I would keep up with Sean on that. I would just
I think
push.
we would take everything into consideration beyond the dumping floor, like the compactors, units, the housing, whatever we have to provide to the cities. Cause we just spent what, $10,000 on that last year. Redoing the one.
Yeah, that building.
Or Blue Mountain? Was it Blue Mountain?
Yep. Some of those, like you said, are like 70s.
Yeah.
And we haven't, you're right, we haven't had that many issues with the actual compressors and hydraulics and stuff. We've had something, I think there goes wrong every once in a while that you have to replace, but those things are ancient, man.
Yes,
They are.
Hydraulics, I mean, either it blows the hose or your pump wears out. I
Yeah.
mean, The rest of it
Yeah.
isn't anything, whether you blow a hydraulic fitting or a hose
Right.
or your pump's no good.
So is our
The rest
engineer-
of it can last forever.
Is he assessing all of that? Do you know? I mean, is that?
I don't have a clue. I don't know.
Well, why don't you talk to Sean, and the biggest thing is getting the sale moved, getting new sales opened up, getting permits, because the permitting process and all that takes a while.
It does.
It takes a while to clear the land and it takes a while to dig the sale.
If we're a year and a half away from that, we'd.
That's pretty close. And there's nothing wrong if we know that, that's the site we want and we think we're going to get it, to go ahead and clear the land.
Sure.
Now in advance, though, will be a mess. That's probably a couple weeks work or so to get that done.
How many tons do we haul out of Prescott a week?
Mhm.
Didn't you say 20 tons of commercial of what
Yeah, roughly
on a week?
in a week, yeah.
In a week.
Because we have waste management dumping there.
Right.
ECKR,
Yeah.
they dump there.
Yeah.
And you're saying they could dump that and we dump it right into the walking floor trailer?
Yeah, we could push it right in it.
So 20 ton, that's a load.
Yeah, I mean, it's
What do we dump it into, push it into now?
a 2-yard compactor, just like.
Oh, it's
all
terrible.
cities
Yeah.
have. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, a 2-yard compactor is what we're
So how
pushing.
many ton will go in it?
How many tons going in it?
Yeah, when you're hauling 20 ton off, how many ton goes in this deal?
Much as we can get in. I mean, usually it's between 6 and 8.
So we're actually losing money on taking the CD.
Well, no. Taking the CD?
CDs, yeah. We're not losing money on CD.
No, that's actually helping us. Where we charge for construction debris, that money can actually go towards what we're needing. We're needing another cell. We're needing this cell closed.
The CD's going in our landfill though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You're talking that the CD that we take goes in our landfill and the commercial debris we haul.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
That's-
solid
I think
waste.
That's confusing.
The solid waste, we're getting around 20 ton of
So
solid.
basically, we're getting that one load a week if we had a walk-in floor trailer of commercial.
Of commercial, yeah.
And now we're taking 3 loads.
Yeah. At a minimum, yeah, sometimes 4. Just depends on how heavy they are.
What do we charge them to dump though?
We're charging commercial $40 per ton to dump solid waste. We're charging them $25 for the construction debris.
But we're going down there and we're paying $40 to haul it off. So we're basically doing it for free.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually costing us because we got.
It is, yeah. If you figure it, it is.
Everything we're supplying for free.
Yeah.
For commercial waste.
Yes.
And that's, if we're still on that 40, I don't think that's been updated since 2015. That's the resolution.
On our charge.
Yeah, the resolution I see on our fees was 2015 when we set it at $40.
And isn't it's 40 at Arcadia right now for us to dump?
I don't think it's pretty close.
2015?
Mm-hmm.
So all of our manpower, all of our equipment, everything's costing the county. Are we letting out of county people come and dump too?
No.
Nobody out of county.
We're trying to catch them, but I mean, we're not going to get them all. But we get what we can.
Okay.
So what's our plan from here on out? What are we doing? We're gonna figure out the cell number 1.
John, you got the, when's that plant study come back?
We spoke about it earlier. I was gonna give you an update next week as soon as I'm able to talk to the engineer.
Okay. Then in the process of that, I think we should look at figuring out the new cell that we'll need in the future. And getting those permits and finding out if that's an acceptable site and all that. We should get on it right away.
They'll have to do a soil compaction test. They'll have to do a bunch of
We need to
stuff.
see how many cells we have available with the ground. I mean, for future expansion too. I mean, it's, we need to look at how many acres we have there and what our projected.
Sounds like we're really far behind.
The last bill we paid for dumping, with the amount we paid and the tons listed in here, it calculates out to $37.85 a ton that we're paying to dump.
So who do we have to reach out to? KDHE? About opening the cell?
We would have to get an engineer first.
Sean? So you want to get our engineers on that? Or has it got to be a different engineer? Does he even do that type of work? Who did it before? Do you remember who engineered it?
Terracon.
Terracon?
They're the ones we've been working with.
So that's probably who we want to go with, again, to get an estimate. So can we go ahead and work on getting that done?
I'll get an estimate from them.
Okay.
Do we need yes, no answers from anybody on the state level?
Yeah, we'll need a
Yeah,
lot.
the state will have to, they'll have to agree with it. They'll have
So
to.
we all on the same page of where we're going with there? So next week we'll have answers on what direction we need to
What
go?
we're doing?
I'll have contacts made and some more information for you. I don't know how fast I'll get answers back from the engineers or from the state. So I'll update you next week on it, but I can't tell you since I've not been a part of one of these processes, how much or how fast it will be.
It just seems like a whole lot of people involved and a lot of moving parts and
It appears to me we better ASAP this as quick as we can to figure it out.
Well, a little more good news. Our track loader has over 8,000 hours on it, so it's going to have to be replaced pretty soon.
What is?
Our track loader.
That's for burying our
C&D, yeah.
CD. 8,000 hours isn't a lot of hours to me, but maybe that, we get in a discussion about that. I talked to contractors. I mean, that is a lot of hours, but it isn't a lot of hours in the construction business. There's counties around here running 15.
So, but to be able to close up that cell, how much is it? We have to close it up before we can move, right?
Yes.
How much does that cost?
It will cost anywhere from 350 to 400,000. That is our cost estimate that we send to KDHE.
Should we sit down and rediscuss this entire plan of operation here?
Next week, let's do that. Yeah. Bring us what you can for next week and we'll hash it out with some direction.
So we'll be at $700,000 just covering up a cell and opening a new one probably.
Yeah.
Don't need to worry about ARPA money now. We got it spent.
But like I said, we could probably go to the state and we may be able to buy a little time if we can add to the sales we have.
Is that something we can check into this week?
Is it something I could check? Yeah, I mean,
We come back next week and we have a long discussion on what we need to do.
sure.
Don't you guys agree?
Sure. Bring us everything you got for next week.
Right now.
Thanks, Al.
You're welcome. I know you guys didn't want to hear that.
Early Christmas present.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to add to it?
Just bring your list. Give it to Sean. Make him present it. Make him the bad guy.
Welcome aboard, Jason.
Hey, can you call Teresa Whitaker?
I'm texting her right now. I texted her and asked her if there was any direction we can move, and she said, a couple months ago, I talked to the council and presented the proposal from Gary. They didn't take any action. I said, do we have any idea which direction they are leaning, or can we get or what can I do to get an answer? And I ain't heard back from her, so I'll swing by and talk to her.
Yeah.
And that's on this,
Council tonight?
huh?
Barb, do they have council tonight? Yes, they do. I might just go in there and talk in public and ask.
Please.
That'd be the best.
Thank you.
Don't use any bad language.
I can't promise. I do that a lot.
Sean, come back with some good answers.
Oh, no.
Yes.
The company that we're selling our recycling to, they sent me a letter a couple of weeks ago. They're saying that all the paper mills are full. So they're either going to charge us to take our paper or they're just going to take it for free.
Okay.
That's what they told me.
We take it to the city.
Yeah.
What do we get off of it right now?
What are we getting out of it?
Yeah.
We were getting about $150 a ton out of it.
Wow.
What if we cut the middleman out and go to Oklahoma? I've heard that story. What's that story?
They make kitty litter. They just take newspaper.
Just newspaper.
Yeah. And ours is It's all mixed up. It's got, file stock, newspaper.
And that is the only thing they do in Oklahoma across the line, not too far, is take.
Fake newspaper. Yes.
How often do we take the recycled stuff?
Well, we haven't had a tractor for a while. Usually about 3 times a year, we'll take a load down. Or
Is that something that we could utilize the walk-in floor trailer for if we get a huge and go one time a year?
probably not. They're kind of picky. They
The
want to.
bottles and everything else, we just, what do we get out of those, the plastic bottles?
I would have to look. I'm thinking it's around $65, $70 a ton. Yeah, I'd have to look at it.
How often do we haul those off?
The bottles? Oh, it takes a long time to get bottles. We probably do 6 or 7 bales a year.
How many bales go on a truck?
We can put 32, I believe.
So we can keep it for years before we get a truck loaded.
But we've been sending it up. We just been mixing it. I mean, we put cardboard on it. We put plastic, paper.
You guys sort all that by hand, right?
Yes. Yeah, we pretty much had no choice.
Does those trailers help you any?
Yes and no. I mean, before we were doing it all in a roll-off container, and we just dump it on the floor and then use a skid steer and put it on a belt. Then everybody that worked there would stand there and separate the stuff. Now, being as we have the trailers, one guy can do it, but it keeps that guy a full-time job.
Al, do you know when the last time was we had to close the cell and open a new one? How long ago?
Oh,
We did one a few years ago.
while
I was here.
We just opened 6.
Didn't we just open one like
Yeah.
the last 6 months?
Yeah,
Year?
last year. Yeah.
I was just gonna look back at
Costs.
we had
Yeah.
that time.
I didn't know it cost that much to close it. I know how much it costs to open it.
Yeah.
Pretty
they-
close to.
One within the last year. So,
I know what happens
Yeah.
if it blows all into the creek.
Yeah, that's no fun.
200 or something.
yeah. Logan and,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, there's the answer. Come on.
I don't need more, but I'll go ahead and take them.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
It's like you're watching our meeting or
It's
something.
just the footing things. I thought she was going to talk about it a little more. If anybody wanted one. Of where we could redesign the.
But I think that's all I had. That's
Storage area.
Well, sounds like you
want
want
a
to be
copy?
back in next week.
yes,
Give you a copy.
Hopefully with a bunch of answers.
hopefully.
Thanks, Al.
Thanks, Al, again.
Anybody else have any good news? Anybody else have anything?
Do you have a copy of that proposal we sent Pleasanton? Or was that?
Not that I'm.
Gary will have it. I make a motion with adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
All right.
This meeting hurt my ribs for some reason.
You did a good job today.
We're glad to.